Just finalizing a few things here. Just making sure everything looks good. Alright, I think we are good to go here. Let me go ahead and get the game pulled up. Okay. Welcome, folks. Just let me know if there's any kind of audio issues or anything like that. I'm going to go ahead and hop into the game here. And we'll get things moving here. Commander Shepard is hearing voices. No more tap water for you. No, definitely drink tap water as long as it's safe to drink in your region. Let's put it that way. And welcome, Retro Gamer. Good luck. Let's see, I can't remember exactly where I am here on Knossos. Alright, so to get you all catched up, yes, they clearly I've had enough sleep today. Get you all caught up on what we are doing here. We have made it to the Isle of Knossos, which is the final area of ancient Greece in Titan Quest. So we are heading towards a big climactic boss fight at the end of the Greece section, and then after that it will be on to ancient Egypt. Let me see here. I need to get my aura going here. A whopping 1,649 XP out of the 117,000 that I need to level up. So yeah, in case you're wondering, the leveling has gotten completely out of control, and I'm only level 17. So yeah, we're gonna be in the high millions, if not even billions of XP by the end of this whole thing, because the max level, if I remember correctly, is 85. So, yeah, in the original Titan Quest and Immortal Throne, I think it was 75, but they bumped it up when they made the Anniversary Edition, because they introduced a bunch of new stuff with the Ragnarök DLC. Oh, by the way, I do still have some quests from about halfway through ancient Greece that I haven't finished yet. Not that they really matter all that much, considering that I'll get 1,000 XP for that one, and 3,000 XP for that one, and then 4,000 XP for that one. I mean, it helps, I guess, but not exactly, shall we say, especially useful. And now we're at Knossos Palace. Now my problem here is that I don't really have any crowd control abilities. So, I just kind of have to hope that I can do enough damage to out-damage the enemy here. Thankfully, I have 180 health potions, so there's that. So they did the thing where they you have 100 stacks of, or stacks of 100, I should say, health potions. So they knew what they were doing. Let's put it that way. They knew that they were gonna make this a chug health potion type of game. not especially useful. And, as usual, the loot we're finding is not particularly good, which is annoying. I never understood this entire mentality of why just shower the player in loot if most of the loot is completely useless. I mean, look at all this stuff. All these gray items, they are considered lowest quality. I think the quality is considered broken or something like that. But look how many of these we get, and we're let's see, probably about a quarter through the game, I think. Something like that. Or at least close to it. At least the base game, I should say. No idea where we are now that there's 2 additional expansions on top of the one that I didn't have back when I originally reviewed this. So. Hey there, Maxwell. Welcome to the stream. All these junk items that I can't really do anything with, except sell, I guess. And I'm still kind of baffled as to why people are confused that I don't like this style of gameplay. Like, what is fun about just clicking and holding the mouse button until things fall over as you just sit there and chug health potions? I mean, because that's basically what this game and what all of these types of games are. Oh, we have new enemies. Automatoi. We are finally fighting effectively golems, which appear to be immune to poison, which makes sense. So, my poison weapon here is considerably less useful against them. Also, they're 4 levels higher than I am, so that's fun. Balancing? What's balancing? In all seriousness, though, I have no idea what's with the balancing of this game. It's so all over the place, it doesn't even make sense. Too many mouse clicks swelled up your wrist cyst so you don't mess with Diablo-type games. Yeah, I can't blame you. I mean, I'm basically just clicking and holding, so it's not that bad, but I mean, it's far worse in the clicking department if I play something like, say, Call of Duty or something along those lines, where there's a lot of semi-auto weapons that you had to spam clicks to use. That's why people think these games are fun? What, that they injure you? Like, that's why people think it's fun? Fallout 2 Restoration Project, lead writer of the mod, voiced Cassidy, and furthermore, redid the voice lines, and that sounds pretty great. That's pretty cool. That is a lot of automatons. And me without any kind of crowd control skills to deal with them. Or high damage abilities, let me put it that way as well. I have my basic... I guess it's technically not a basic attack anymore, considering it has a charge-up ability on it. And let's see... And that adds a 60% of total additional damage. And then, after 3 charges, it bursts, but still. That is a lot of damage. And unfortunately, it's just a matter of sheer numbers of enemies attacking me all at once. Where's that leather? Lesser, not leather, lesser health potion. There we go. Do I plan on streaming any games in German? Vielleicht. I don't have all that many games that are actually in German, though. I mean, I have games where I can switch the language to German, but I don't think that's really what you mean there. I think you mean actual German copies of things. In which case, the only ones I have that are entirely in German, and I have no way of switching them over to English, are... Let's see, let me deal with this guy real quick, and then I'll think about it. Right now, the only ones of those I have are Rings of Medusa, which I've had a surprisingly difficult time getting running, so I don't think that'll work until I figure that out. And my German copy of Black and White, however, I have an English copy of Black and White Deluxe, so that's what I would rather play. So that wouldn't really work. Let's see. And yeah, all the other games I have that are in German, I think, are entirely... They have English versions. So I usually install the English version. Now, if there's a way to do, I wouldn't want to try to stream Gothic anyway, because Gothic it's a pain in the ass to record, let alone stream. It just doesn't play very nicely with modern systems. But I mean, you can consider doing, hang on a second here. These enemies are being annoying. There we go. Yeah. The only thing I could think of, other than just the handful of games I have that, or not even, it's not even a handful, like the 2 or 3 games I have that are entirely in German, would be something like Gothic playing with, it would have to be with English subtitles, but with the German voiceovers. Because, But not necessarily wouldn't have to be because I mean I could understand it, but the I think the better way of doing that would be if I could do English voice or not English, sorry, German voiceovers and then with English subtitles on that one. But I don't know how to do that off the top of my head, so I'd have to do some research on that. You try Gothic and German, it's intimidating. I mean, it depends on... playing games in German depends on the game, and I mean, it also depends on what your command of the German language is. Like, I don't really have a problem understanding what's going on in pretty much anything. I mean, most of the time when I'm, say, watching a German movie or something, I don't really need subtitles, but I have them on anyway just in case I miss something. Or in case they're using dialect or something that I'm not familiar with. You know, a couple games made in German, Sacred, Gothic, Drakensang. Yeah, I have the Drakensang games. There's a video on my channel of me playing the German demo, it's actually just the demo of Drakensang, the River of Time, am Fluss der Zeit. But the demo was only ever made available in German, so it's me playing it in German. But see, my main problem with older games in particular when it comes to German is the font. Because that pixelated font just, I don't know, something about it messes with me. Even though I can read it, I have to think about it a bit more than I normally would. Don't mind me, I'm just going around here just making sure I didn't miss anything. Ubisoft and WB have decent language support. Yeah, they do. I think a lot of that from Ubisoft's perspective comes from them being a French company. So they kind of have to have good language support. What's this? It's a battle marker. Okay. Just making sure I didn't miss anything back here. Okay. See, made language switching much more streamlined. Yeah, they did. But it's in the case of something like Gothic, it switches over the entire game, not just the voices. So, again, not that I really have a problem with it. It's just I'm more comfortable with especially if I'm going to be recording it, doing English subtitles. Usually playing games in English because voice acting is better. It depends on the game. Like, if it's Gothic, for example, the voice acting is way better in German. Way better in German. There's a lot of little aspects of it in the German voiceover that are just completely lost in the English because the English voiceover is, frankly, kind of awful. And I find that in general, a lot of games are like that, where if it's voiced in the original language voiceovers are usually way better than any kind of English dubbing. For example, I pretty much refuse to play Japanese games that have English dubs in English, because the Court of King Minos. So now we are heading into the Minoan Labyrinth, which means we are in fact going to fight the Minotaur eventually, which is kind of cool, thematically at least. But like Japanese games with English dubs, usually the English dub is terrible, so I just play them in Japanese with English subtitles. But my command of Japanese is far less... It's far weaker than my command of something like German, so I have a much harder time with... especially reading it, but also just understanding a lot of the spoken stuff. Although I usually have a much easier time with the spoken Japanese than the written, because kanji just destroys me. And if I'm playing an old Japanese game in particular, trying to read any of that text is just miserable. You're playing games in German now because that's how you learned English? What is your native language anyway? The first Resident Evil has English dub. Here's the thing about Resident Evil, and something that nobody seems to understand about it, which baffles me. The English voiceover and just the English acting in general, I guess, because the opening cutscene and all that, in the original Resident Evil is hilariously awful. And what people don't get is that that fits in perfectly with cheesy slasher flick vibes. And that bothers the hell out of me, because people act like Resident Evil is some sort of really serious horror game, and whenever that happens, the games are boring as hell. They're incredibly boring if you take them seriously. But if you treat them as goofy, ridiculous slasher flick kind of things, then they're actually quite entertaining. And that's what was lost for me when I went from Resident Evil 1 to later entries in the series on up until Resident Evil 4, when they finally understood it again. And they didn't take it very seriously. I mean, if you play the original Resident Evil 4, it is just plain goofy. And what do you know, Resident Evil 4 was fun. Then with Resident Evil 5, they tried to take it seriously again, although they still had utterly ridiculous things, and it just didn't work. Oh yeah, I can't help you on the on language there. I don't speak any of the Semitic languages. Yeah, in my last Q&A, I went over the various languages I understand or speak or have learned even a few words and phrases in, etc. Hey there, Theo. Welcome. Why did I learn German as an English native? Weil ich kann. I just like German. It's an interesting language, interesting history. And, the other language that I was learning earlier in life was Spanish, and I really, really, really hate Spanish as a result. Which is a real shame, because I really should go back and try to relearn some Spanish, to at least be conversational in it. I can still understand a lot of it just fine. And I can certainly understand a lot of Italian and Latin and other Romance languages because of it, but it's... Whenever I try to go back with Spanish, it is just... I can't do it, so... German's about as far from Spanish as it gets, let's put it that way. Yeah, Farsi and Persian are different languages. Slightly different. They're in the same language family. It's the whole language family is Semitic languages, if I remember correctly, and it's a pretty broad language family, which is kind of weird. Yeah, Resident Evil villains are hardly the type that you can take seriously, but that's kind of the problem. The series does take them seriously, and Capcom takes them as serious horror games, and it just doesn't work. Like, think about how much more enjoyable something like the Resident Evil 2 remake is when you install the mod that whenever Mr. X shows up, it just starts playing, X gonna give it to you. It makes the game so much more enjoyable. Arabic, Hebrew, Semitic. Oh, yeah. It's a pretty broad language family. And I will readily admit that my knowledge of said language family is very, very limited. So I'm always up to learn more about languages, though. I am definitely a linguistics nerd. It's just I haven't really looked into that particular set of languages. Not really much call to learn it. Which is unfortunate, but, well. Just a moment here, and I'll look at chat again here. I'm at the point of the game where enemies can hit hard enough to actually do a pretty decent amount of damage to me. Let's see here. Cheers wanted to ask if I played Pentiment. I have not played Pentiment yet. I do have a copy of it, though. So I'll be getting to it eventually. What language would I like to learn the most? Well, I definitely want to get much better at Japanese. But my problem there isn't so much that I don't know the language, it's that I can't really read it very well. So it's more just refining my skill on that. But as for just learning from scratch, probably Welsh, weirdly enough. Himreich, I think that's how you pronounce it. My Welsh is terrible. And of course, I'm sure you'd be like, why the hell would you want to learn Welsh? I don't know, because it's fun. Because what other language can you throw a name up at somebody that's L-L-Y-W-E-L-Y-N and try to have them pronounce it, and they'll never get it right? Because it's hilarious. It's Indo-European. Oh, okay. To be fair, language classifications can get kind of messy sometimes. And sometimes I forget things. Do I enjoy computer languages as much as human languages? Nope, I do not. So that took away almost a fourth of my health with one hit. That's not cool. Well, there's a lot of, you got to remember with it when it comes to English, there is a lot of borrowed words, a lot of just taking things from other languages that, you know, we just decide to start using. Like, for example, if you try to speak American English to somebody who is not a Native American English speaker, a lot of times there'll just be words and phrases that are taken from other languages that they're just not going to get. Like, depending on where you go in the U.S., for example, we use a lot of Spanish phrases and things like that. It just gets... It gets complicated, let's put it that way. I still have some of those. Yes, I do. Okay. Makes things easier. Welcome, Martin. I mean, you can classify computer languages as human languages, but they're not really languages per se. You cannot, let me put it this way, you can't speak in C++, for example. You cannot speak in JavaScript. It's indecipherable. What computer languages actually are sets of instructions. So they tell the chips what to do. So that's why you can't really treat them as languages, even though they're called languages. One of those weird quirks of language. England was invaded a lot of times. Yeah, it was. It was. I don't really know how much English is still in there. That's something people tend to forget. People think Anglo-Saxon. Oh, well, that's basically modified Old Norse. Well, no, it comes from the name Anglo, the Angles, and the Saxons mixing together, so you get English mixing with Saxon, and Saxon was its own thing. It's complicated. Language in general gets really complicated. One of the fun things about it. Essence of Zeus's Thunderbolts. That might be useful eventually. I don't know. We'll see. Brentline Yodi. Hello, world. Among other things. I have no idea how these traps are actually supposed to work. Like, there's clearly no logical, mechanical design in them whatsoever. Let's see. We got a little bit more inventory space before we're going to have to go back and sell our junk. Anglo-Saxons are... Okay, so the way it kind of worked, this is a very dramatically oversimplified history that I'm going for here. The way it basically worked, the Angles were one of the Celtic tribes in Britannia at that time. And the Saxons invaded from the Northlands. So we're talking right around the Denmark area, I believe. Or the area that is now Denmark, I should say. And after they invaded, they started mixing in with the Angles, and thus you get Anglo-Saxons. It's way more complicated than that, obviously. There's a lot of small tribes mixing in there and such like that. And a lot of it was unfortunately lost to history, too, because back then you just didn't have very many records and such. And
have no more room.
The native tribes of the area didn't really have much in the way of writing systems back then. I mean, I think it was the Irish had Ogham script, which was... I mean, if you've ever looked at Ogham script, it's pretty much indecipherable. Let's see here. We got another Essence of Artemis' Bowstring, which is good. We can combine that. Do we have another Essence of Zeus' Thunderbolt? Doesn't look like we do, which is unfortunate. We do, however, have some Demon's Blood we can combine. And do we have an Essence of Heracles' Might? I don't think we do. I don't see one, at least. Unfortunate, but we'll combine these real quick. And now we have a completed Essence of Artemis' Bowstring. We still need a pristine plumage and a turtle shell to be able to build that artifact there. Let's see what we got here. Now, what am I going to sell? What am I going to keep? Definitely selling all this random crap. And none of these are really better than what I got, so let's go sell those. If I can remember where the... Yeah, there you are.
My shop is a shadow of its former glory. We've fallen on hard times here. Still, perhaps I can help you.
Alright, and then we're just going to buy a crap ton of those healing potions there. We want to make sure we have at least 200 of them.
Beasts have claws and teeth, but you have fire. You come again.
Okay, let's see here. You've been getting into green language. How about reading in between words? Huh. Yeah. It's a bit wacky, but can be useful. Yep. Give me just a moment here. I'll clear out these enemies and take another look at chat real quick. Make sure there's no more enemies in here. Oh, no, there is. By the way, a particularly annoying thing about this game, you have a % chance to hit. Because of course you have a % chance to hit. Why wouldn't you have a % chance to hit? On top of the many, many other things that reduce the amount of damage you do. Get these enemies cleared out here. There we go. Okay, and I'll let my health regenerate here while I take a look at the chat. You wonder how Fallout Van Buren would fare if it did come out when it was supposed to? Yeah, who knows? I mean, it probably would have been successful. I don't know why it wouldn't have been. No telling whether it would have been more or less successful than Fallout 1 and 2. Presumably more. Just going off of how sequel sales usually end up working. Oh, now we're fighting regular Minotaurs. Eventually we will fight the Minotaur, if I remember correctly. It's been a long time since I went through Knossos. Let's see, when did I... Yeah, I last went through this game, must have been back when I made the original review, which I think was 2009-ish? So, it's been a while. War King Asterius, the Minotaur hero. He does quite a bit of damage. He's also, let's see, 7 levels higher than me, because of course he is. However, it will not save him. He also didn't drop anything good, because of course he didn't. Oh, we're back to automatons here. Politics, polling ticks. Emphasis on ticks, as in the parasites. See, welcome Garcia. Quick question: what is my favorite biome in gaming? I don't know. Not off the top of my head, anyway. Let me think about it for a second while I bonk some automatons here. Tundras, desert, etc. I mean, I know what biomes are. I'm just trying to think of what my favorite one would be. Usually I find the ones that are more fantastical really interesting. So, the kind of stuff you would see in the likes of, say, for example, when you go into... it's going to sound weird to use this as an example, considering my video on it. But Elden Ring, the Undercity, I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. But environments like that I find really interesting. Just weird, fantastical places that do not exist in the real world at all. You hate ice and lava levels personally. I can understand that. They tend to be badly done. Especially ice levels. Because they usually have ice physics when it comes to movement, and that's never fun to deal with. Lava levels, it's usually just way too easy to just fall into a pit of lava and just melt, which is always annoying. Okay, that's a lot of dudes. All clobbering me all at the same time. No, don't attack the Minotaur hero. Attack the other guys first because they'll go down quicker. There we go. The less extra damage I have to worry about, the better. There we go. Shame about Walton Goggins being wasted in the Fallout TV series. Yeah, he's a good actor. And it's just a real shame that he got roped into such a crappy series. Justified was really good, though. Well, at least it was for a while, let me put it that way. I never actually finished it. All this garbage loot. Just so much useless crap. I don't know what the deal is with these skeletons aggroing when I'm quite far behind the wall, but whatever. Fallout New Vegas is basically Van Buren FPS. Yeah, it is. I find that the best mods to put together for Fallout New Vegas are just ones that polish out the rough edges. Because the combat is just not good. It's definitely better than Fallout 3's, don't get me wrong, but it's not very good. So if you get a few mods to make the shooting mechanics just feel a bit smoother, just kind of improve that responsiveness. Definitely bump up the animations and a few of the graphics, and you're pretty much good after that. It doesn't really need to be changed into something more classic, per se. But it definitely needs to have some rough edges smoothed out. Because it still retains the spirit of classic Fallout, it's just with the different mechanics. And that's fine. Because the strength of Fallout was always in the writing and the role-playing, not in the actual gameplay mechanics. Honestly, mechanically, Fallout 1 and 2 are not very good games. They're not awful, don't get me wrong, but they're just not very good either. Worst lava levels are in Xena on PS1. Good adaptation, but a horrible game. I mean, licensed games in general back then were just terrible. You were lucky if you found one that was actually kind of playable. One of these days, I really need to figure out how to get Westworld 2000 working, because it's something. Let's put it that way. But I cannot get that damn thing working no matter what I try. I have tried running that on multiple computers. I've tried running it on my Windows 98 virtual machine. It just will not work properly no matter what I do, so. And by not work properly, I mean it crashes constantly. It bugs out constantly. Sound doesn't even work most of the time. It's a mess. It's basically, well, not basically, it is completely unplayable. We're getting remarkably close to a level up here, so there is that.
Your inventory is full.
Oh, goody, my inventory is full again. Do I need to play some inventory Tetris? No, I just can't actually fit anything else. Time to go sell it! Original Van Buren script, Shitty Sands was also destroyed, but details... Yeah. They definitely would have handled it a lot better than the show did, though. Let's put it that way. So that gives me less energy, but it gives me a slightly better rate of energy regeneration, and it has more armor. I'm going to go ahead and equip that. See here. You know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna keep buying. I'm gonna buy another 100 health potions because why not? What else am I going to spend money on in this game? You love Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, but can't play it on your HP Omen. Is the HP Omen one of the new handheld things, or what is an HP Omen? I'm not familiar with it off the top of my head. So your old laptop, and your... Oh, no, the HP Omen's a laptop. Never mind, sorry. That's weird, though. That's just weird. You might want to try something like... I don't know. I don't know what would necessarily cause it. It depends on what kind of issue you're having that's making it not work. Would I consider Fallout 3 a decent game if the main quest wasn't about fighting Daddy and it had the mechanics of New Vegas? Nope. No, I would not. Because Fallout 3's rot goes much deeper than just the main story and the crappy mechanics. Windows 10 and hardware compatibility shit. Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, most of the problems I run into getting old games to work these days are mostly from DRM. Particularly Safe Disk and Star Force, because they just... Microsoft patched Windows, as of Windows 7, technically, to no longer allow those drivers to install because they represent a security risk, so you just can't get them to work without stuff like the fairly recent program Safe Disk Shim, or let's see, what's the other thing, or just going in and manually installing the drivers, which is a pain and really not a very good idea. Hello, Germany in chat. You mean DW? Hallo, Deutschland. Wie geht's euch? How deep does the rot go in Fallout 3? The better question is, where does it not reach? And the answer is nowhere. Games that require CD keys can be tricky to install. It depends on the game. Usually those, as long as it's just a CD key, like say with Quake or something along those lines, is usually fine. You just enter the CD key and you're good to go, as long as you still have the CD key, I should say. You know, I'm talking about the driver-based DRMs like Safe Disk and Star Force are just a real pain in the ass, because they just don't work on modern systems. Because again, Microsoft patched the operating system so you can't actually get them to work anymore without deliberately going in and messing with things. You would love for me to elaborate. Well, I am working on and off on a Fallout 3 Redux, so might want to stay tuned for that. I'm not sure exactly when it will be, but it is something that's in the works. As is Fallout New Vegas, which I will be finally being able to cover the DLCs, because I did not have them back in the day. So, although I'm really not looking forward to Dead Money. Doesn't GOG remove DRM? Yeah, GOG's big thing is that they have no DRM, which is why I always very, very highly recommend them. Because their games just work. And it's not the Bethesda style of it just works. No, their games they just work. Don't need to worry about any kind of account requirements, or, I mean, apart from just your GOG account in general to be able to download the thing in the first place. But, don't need to worry about any kind of server authentications or any of that kind of nonsense. Just install your game, play your game, you're good to go. So yeah. I always very highly recommend GOG over Steam if I can. Sometimes this game's not even available on GOG, which is annoying. But yeah, GOG doesn't even require you to use their Galaxy client. You can just go into your account on their website and download the installer. That's what I end up doing for pretty much all of my GOG games, except for the really, really big ones, like Cyberpunk 2077. Which, I mean, if it's something that's a good 60+ gigabytes, you kind of don't want to download the installers for it, because it's the way their installers work, the offline installers, I should say, is that you have the main executable file, and then all of the bin files that go with it, and each of those max out at 2 gigabytes, I think. It's either 2 or 4 gigabytes, I can't remember which. And so, depending on the size of the game, you can have a lot of those files to have to download. It's a little tedious, but once you have that installer, you're good to go. You can save it to a hard drive, or save it or burn it to a bunch of DVDs or a Blu-ray or something like that. And then you're just good to go. You have your offline installer that you can install on as many computers as you want. Just remember, you know, don't just share it with people though. Only install it on devices you own. GOG does good work. We want to make sure they succeed. Readjust those. All right, let's see here. The rod eventually became Starfield. I mean, the rod in Bethesda has just gotten worse and worse and worse over the years. Let's make sure I didn't accidentally pick anything up. Nope. Okay. It's not as rotten as Fallout 4. You despise Bethesda, don't get Fallout 3's kneel in the shit stack. No, it isn't. Bethesda used to make good games. It was a long time ago, but they used to make good games. They haven't made a truly good game in, let's see, it's 2024, about 22 years now. But back in the 90s, they did used to make good games. A lot of times they were really janky, really buggy, but they were still good games. I mean, hell, up until, actually, no, still, they have made the best Terminator game. To this day. And if I remember correctly, Todd Howard did work on it. I can't remember what he did on it, but if I remember correctly, he did work on it. You know, I keep forgetting to level up. I should probably do that. Give me just a second here. Alright, we're going to just bump up our dexterity and our strength. And then we're going to go in here, and we're going to give ourselves another point in defense mastery. And then go back over to dream mastery and put a couple of points into something here. Let's put it into... Let's just put it into the psionic touch. Steam is bad for older games with the controller options. They're crazy good. That is true. The Steam controller options are great. Let's try to lure these guys out, because I'm pretty sure that automaton hero over there will just clobber me. Cadmus the Golem King. Actually, he was lower level than that other enemy. Oh, of course he has attacks that slow me. Pitiful amount of damage I'm doing. So slow. There we go. Worth it? No, not at all. Look at all these items that aren't any better than the stuff I already had. It's great. And by great, I mean not. Like this Death Weaver's leg tip, required player level 8. I mean, like, I've had this thing for 2 live sessions now. I got it in the first live session of this, the first live stream session of this. And I still haven't found anything actually better than it. Corporatism, yeah, definitely. How similar are the Outer Worlds and Starfield? Depends on what you mean by similar. Because, I mean, in terms of mechanics, they're kind of similar, but obviously the Outer Worlds is much, much better as an RPG than Starfield is. Because Obsidian at least still generally understands how those work. But the Outer Worlds, if you've watched, you may want to watch my video on it. The Outer Worlds is, it's a weird game because it's one of those very weird titles where you can just say, the only thing you can really say about it is, out of the various video games that exist, out of the many, many games that exist on this planet, The Outer Worlds is certainly one of them, and that is the best thing I can say about it. Ornate stone door, which means we're about to have a boss fight. It is going to be... Whoops, wrong button. There we go. It is the Minotaur Lord. And he has a bunch of traps, because of course he does. I'm going to try to lure him back over here so I can actually avoid the traps. Also, he does a ton of damage. That does not surprise me. Jeez. So much damage. Gotta run around and chug healing potions. He's also quite fast, which is annoying. Why did they feel the need to throw 4 traps in here? Just why? It's not like I'm playing on a high difficulty or anything. I don't get why they would do this. Are the designers just trying to be assholes or what? There we go. We have defeated the Minotaur. And now I gotta go clear out these stupid blade traps. And I got the achievement Taste the Beast, which is kind of gross. Alright, let's see what we got here. Look at all these items that are useless to me. Isn't it great? Let's see here. The Rune Staff of Foresight. Oh, look, it needs 150 intelligence. I don't have 150 intelligence. I don't have anywhere near 150 intelligence. Well, that was just not worth it. Let's see here. A Corinthian Great Helm of Vengeance. I'm gonna go ahead and go back to the town and sell this crap, so that I actually have some inventory space here moving forward. If Xbox continues with what they're doing, Bethesda is no more. Yeah, probably. Well, it remains to be seen, though.
People are saying that some...
Hello.
Alright, sell all these random items here. Sell those lesser healing potions, because they're useless to me. And of course, none of the shop items are actually a significant improvement.
Good luck.
Now let's go back over here and let's see. Combine those and put them back in storage here. Oh wait, I have these other items in here. What am I? Why is that in there? I can just sell that. Let's see, Oracle's leggings. Oh right, that's part of a set. I'll just hang on to that because it's part of a set. Let's see here, Trapper's Spear. I can get rid of that.
I sell to magicians. You are a magician, right?
Sure, magician. Let's go with that.
So long.
I mean, I can cast magic, technically. It's dream magic, but it's magic. Let's see here. Xena and God of War made learning about Greek myth fun. Yeah. I could see that. I mean, honestly, Greek myth is just fun in general because it gets bonkers. And Age of Mythology, yeah. I mean, Age of Mythology is a game I really wish was better than it actually is. The Room of the Conduit. What is the Room of the Conduit? It is a thing. And now, we have a bunch of statues to fight. And they do a lot of damage and have a lot of health. So we go from one boss fight to a second boss fight, because of course we do. I really need more high damage abilities. Instead I have just a gradual build-up ability, and it's, I mean, it's okay, but really doesn't do what I need it to do. And of course, the poison effect on my weapon isn't really doing anything against these statues, which makes sense, but it's still annoying. And of course he summons the demons that heal themselves. Because we can't have nice things. Fight me yourself, you coward! Have I seriously not been hitting this one statue at all? That's just obnoxious. There's another one. Okay, the stun is not good either. That's very irritating. Finally, it's just him. And his AI glitched out for a second there. This is the final boss of Greece, by the way, in case you didn't know. Okay, enough with these guys. These are annoying. This is riveting gameplay, isn't it? Just clicking and holding on the telkeen. There we go. And he gave us a seal. Okay. And a mystical orb. Which gives us a bunch of money and a bunch of completely useless loot. Awesome.
You destroyed it! I saw it all from where I was hiding. It was amazing.
So, how exactly did this guy get in here?
Believe that Immortal actually managed
Because
to best
we had to go through
Unfortunately,
something like 100, 200 monsters to get here. So how's he just in here chilling as just some scholarly dude? Anyway, let's see here. Difficult question, but you think I can find an answer? The top 3 games of the last 5 years. I mean, Wasteland 3 is going to be one of them. Ah, crap. Give me just a second here. My glasses broke. Again.
It is anchored at the river nearby.
Okay, so I can't repair them. I am down to being able to see out of one eye. So that's fun.
Travel quickly to Rakotis.
So we're just gonna go through here to get to Egypt. I may have to call stream early. I don't know yet. Let's see here. Retro Gamer needs to go for now. You got stuff to do. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you can tune in again eventually, whenever I end up doing this again. It'd be nice to see a remaster of Call of Cthulhu: Dark Corners of the Earth. I don't know. It would need a full remake, really. And yeah, I did review it for Halloween one year. My glasses are not actually glass. The lenses are polycarbonate, so that they don't shatter or anything. No spare pair. Nope. I went to the optometrist yesterday, and they told me that my replacement pair will come in about 2 weeks, which is a problem. But we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there. I'm probably gonna have to break out a soldering iron and get these stupid things soldered back together. Let's see here. Wasteland 3 I again have not played Pentiment, so can't tell you there. Wasteland 2 and 3 took much inspiration from Fallout, which is ironic. I mean, yeah. I don't know if it's necessarily ironic, but it's kind of an interesting twist of fate that Fallout ended up being the more widely successful franchise, and then Wasteland came back. But let's see. Do you wish to travel to Rakotis in Egypt? Sure. So we are now moving past ancient Greece and on into ancient Egypt. And of course, we can go back. And of course, if we use the portals, we can go anywhere in the world here. Let's.
Greetings, traveler. I am Imhotep. Honorable Phaedrus has praised your accomplishments and sent word of your coming. Even the heroes of legend might have met their match.
This Imhotep is considerably less cool than the one from the Mummy.
Others would have failed. Greece is not the only land plagued with monsters and other unnatural creatures. Egypt is also in chaos. The pharaoh has fled their palace and is now in hiding. Entire armies cannot stop the monsters. Without the gods, our cause is lost. Death and slavery are our only future. I know a way we can contact the godly realm, even though the conduit was destroyed. There is an ancient invocation ceremony that might allow us to summon.
Are there decent games set in Egypt except for Assassin's Creed Origins?
I
mean, there's Pharaoh. Pharaoh's pretty good. There's also, let's see. But it's not really a game kind of like this or Assassin's Creed Origins, though.
I have pressing business in Sais. Once you have obtained the scroll, bring it to me here.
Yeah, there's remarkably few games set in ancient Egypt that are, actually any decent. There's remarkably few. Anyway, we're gonna go over here. We're gonna go to this guy. Do I have a Hecate's Crescent? I do, in fact, have Hecate's Crescent.
Need another camel. Have you seen that good-for-nothing servant?
Let's see here. I don't think any of these are. I mean, I'm gonna put the Telkeen seal in there, I think. No, I'm gonna hang on to it just in case it's a quest item or something.
A strange news.
I'm gonna go over here and sell our junk to this guy. Alright, let's see here. We're finally going to start getting some better equipment in this area, but, alright, let's activate this portal here.
Hurry! The monsters will be here. 2, 1. Quick, before I pack up.
Any decent items? No, not really.
Bye.
And now we are running into Jackalmen. No enemies, but still dropping tons of trash loot. Go ahead and clear out this square here. Scared of the clicking after 5 or so years. The cyst on your wrist has come back. Yeah, you should probably get that looked at. You may need to have it drained or something. Loki, Heroes of Mythology. Every click is damaging these. Yeah, I understand. Okay, let me save the game real quick. Completely useless items. Run away! The NPC's doing scared dance. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Trying to do this all with one eye is kind of rough. So I'm gonna have to do something about that here. So give me a moment. Alright. Let me go ahead and attempt to get the glasses fixed enough to where I can actually kind of function here. I'm going to have to go over to a break here for a moment. So I will mess around with the glasses and then I will be right back with you. Okay, so I think I've got the glasses together enough to where I can kind of continue the stream here. I'm probably going to still have to cut it short compared to the other ones. Because this is actually straining my eyes a bit to try to wear these. So we'll just see where it goes here. But let me get back into the game here. And we'll just continue, I think, for another probably 20 minutes or so. 20-25 minutes, something like that. Because what I'm going to ultimately have to do with these glasses, I think, is either solder them back together. Because the problem I have is that the glasses are broken right where the bridge of the nose is. So it's really hard to get like tape around it, for example. So I either have to solder it, or I have to super glue it. And super glue doesn't really work all that well. And soldering it's in such an awkward spot that soldering isn't really working that well either. So we'll figure it out eventually. That poison ability is still coming in clutch here. The Family Sword of Anheru. That's a quest item, right? Yeah, it's a quest item. Okay. And then we have the Depleting Crescent Blade of the Betrayer. That's interesting. However, it is quite a bit worse than what I'm currently using, which is annoying. First time having to win away eventually. Yeah. Yeah, repetitive stress injuries get weird like that. Titan Quest 2 is coming soon. They announced it. They haven't really done anything since announcing it, though. At least as far as I can tell. Ah, there's Anheru.
You found it. Well, I must thank you, warrior. I should warn you.
6,000 experience and Essence of Amun-Ra's Glory. That's a pretty decent enchantment. One eye on top of the pyramid. Illuminati!
What? Be careful.
We'll put
Where
our
is that lazy boy?
thing back in here.
Oh, yes, yes. Come again.
Handy Mandy dummy. I mean, I repair stuff where I can. I do what I can. I don't like throwing things away if I can't help it. Can I go down there? Nope. Okay. Colossal Scorpion. Fun fact, by the way, my viewers at this point generally know that I don't do well with spiders. I'm fine with scorpions, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but they don't really bother me. Glasses are needing some adjustment here. The temporary patch I have is not exactly cooperating with me here. Man, this poison ability for this weapon is just, it's too good for being such an early game weapon. Which makes it so much more annoying that I haven't found anything actually better than it. And we're back to being a glorified exterminator. Dealing with large beetles and scorpions and who knows what else. Whoop, wrong item. Tomb Rot. I'm not sure what to classify this as. It's kind of like a slug. It doesn't really do much, though, so I don't know. Doesn't really take much damage from us, though. It seems more like the damage effect over time is what's actually taking these things down. An ash mallet. Well, that doesn't really help me any. I guess I can sell it, though. This is a repugnant decay, whatever that is. These things take forever to bring down. How many hit points does this thing have? Like, jeez. Honestly, these things aren't really worth the fight. They're just annoying. And now we have Dune Raiders. Whatever Dune Raiders are supposed to be. Some of the FF games are quite decent. It's the mechanics. The mechanics do less than nothing for me. So boring to play. FF7 Remake's one of the only acceptably decent AAA games in recent years. I mean, that's not saying much. Actually, I'll be fair. A lot of the AAA games over the past several years have just been obnoxiously mid. They're perfectly playable, but they're very, very bland. Welcome, ZPS. You thought this was a very poor man's Diablo 2. I don't know. I'd still say it's probably better than Diablo 2. Because I couldn't play more than about 15 minutes of Diablo 2 without getting so bored that I stopped playing entirely, and, well, here I am. Let's see, what are we? 10 or so hours into, no, more like 15 hours or so into Titan Quest, and I'm still playing it, although, to be fair, a lot of that's because I'm interacting with chat more than paying attention to what's going on in the game, because the game itself is just dull. Red Dead Redemption 2 is great. No, it isn't. It's not. I have yet to play a Rockstar game that was anything other than just okay. And that's at best. Although there is a rumor going around that Rockstar is apparently trying to get the original Red Dead Redemption on PC, which, I mean, that's cool, I guess, but... better Diablo clones back then. I mean, Diablo 2's big problem is that it's Diablo 1, but a bit better. So it feels old. It's an extremely simplistic game. There's basically no...
I thank the gods that yes, we keep this. The archives are down these days.
The genre's mechanics have evolved considerably since Diablo 2, so Diablo 2 feels very primitive. At least this has cool environments and stuff. Yeah, that's the thing about Titan Quest. A lot of what makes it interesting is its setting. So we just don't have a whole lot of these very mythological or ancient mythological games. And so something like Titan Quest, even if it's mechanically not very interesting, is still an interesting game just because of the setting. Especially considering how much of the ancient world it showcases. I mean, we went through Greece in the first two sessions of this. Now we're in ancient Egypt. Eventually we'll move on to Babylon, which is really cool. And then after that, it's off into ancient China. And then after that, when you get to Immortal Throne, you fight your way through Hades, which is pretty cool. Then, of course, in Ragnarok, you go into the frozen north on into the mythological realms of the Norse, which is, again, cool. The Atlantis expansion, of course, takes you into Atlantis, which is, again, cool. And then you get to the Eternal Embers DLC, and that is entirely set in ancient China. So if nothing else, Titan Quest definitely has its setting going for it. It's just that the mechanics may or may not do anything for you depending on whether you're highly susceptible to Skinner boxes or not. See, Rockstar nails down their presentation, but their gameplay is very dated these days. It's not even just the gameplay, it's their writing. Their writing is awful. I know a lot of people act like their writing is amazing, but it really isn't. It just meanders all over the damn place. When it comes to original Red Dead Redemption, I liked it a lot better when I saw the Wild Bunch. Because that's basically what that game is. It's just the Wild Bunch, but nowhere near as good. I mean, there's an entire section in that game that's set in Mexico where absolutely nothing of importance happens. And it's just hours and hours and hours of the game set in Mexico because the writers really like the Wild Bunch, which has a section in it's set in Mexico, and so they just threw that in there because they wanted to have their game be like the Wild Bunch, but it wasn't anywhere near as good, so... And then, of course, with the GTA series, how many times can they just recycle the same damn American Dream Defiled story? It's just so boring. Where am I going here? Oh, wow. A throw stick. What is a throw stick? Let's see. Where is it? Oh, we got a second bag now. Let's see. It's a stick that you throw at things. Ooh. Ugh. That's slightly better than what we got. Let's see here. An Honor Guard's Charm. I mean, that's a pretty decent item, but it doesn't really help me out much given my current stat spread. really doing more health regeneration, not so much. Let's see here. Go ahead and equip that to that loadout. Let's see here. Diablo 2 is very much of its time. It is. Let's see, Rockstar games have their moments. I mean, I guess. You like the Resident Evil 4 remake? See, my concern with the Resident Evil 4 remake is that from what I've seen, they really don't lean into what made the original Resident Evil 4 so good. Which is to say, they take it a lot more seriously. And Resident Evil 4 did not take itself seriously. It was just plain goofy. And that's just kind of the vibe I've gotten from the Resident Evil remakes in general. Is they even going back, especially going back to the original Resident Evil remake, the one that is simply titled Resident Evil these days, or Resident Evil HD, or whatever the hell you want to call it. That one was basically reinterpreting the absolute cheese fest that was the original Resident Evil, and turning it into something that is just... it's boring. It takes itself way too seriously. They act like it's supposed to be some sort of serious horror game, and it's not. It's boring. Like, if you just revel in the cheesy slasher flick nonsense, then yeah, it can be enjoyable, but if you try to take it seriously, then it's just boring. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and head back to Rakotis and sell our junk.
What?
Oh crap, I didn't mean to sell that. Let's see here. I don't have the strength to equip that, but that would be definitely an improvement in damage. Alright, let's see here. Sell that, sell that. Yeah, not a whole lot of items that I'm actually going to benefit from using here or anything.
Have you seen that good-for-nothing servant?
Let's see here. Essence of the Jot of Horus. Rigid Carapace. Don't have any more of those. Venom Sac. I do have a Venom Sac. Let me go ahead and combine those real quick.
Just careful where you put everything. Yes, yes. Come again. For you, I will offer my special rates.
Let's see here. Can't really benefit from these things. Okay.
Is that all?
Let's see. Throw a stick sounds like a sticky situation. Yeah. Video games in general have become a lot more serious as an art form. Yeah, and I hate that. Because there's definitely a place, don't get me wrong, there's definitely a place for more serious games. But when you lose that playfulness and experimentation of the 90s and the early 2000s, think about how many games these days are just boring. Like, they're not necessarily bad, they're just boring. Because they don't do anything interesting, they don't do anything playful, they exist. Most of the AAA space is like that, where it takes itself seriously to the point where it's just kind of boring. Because there's just not really anything interesting going on mechanically, because they just continue to recycle the same handful of ideas over and over again. And so it just ends up being dull. But of course, there is definitely a place for more serious games. It's just not when that's most of what you get. I mean, a game like Helldivers 2 is as refreshing as it is precisely because it is so playful and ridiculous. Oh, Death Stranding. Ugh, I am dreading going through Death Stranding. Because it is just a walking simulator, effectively. I have a copy of it, I just haven't gotten around to it yet, and it's... I mean, it's an entire game of unfiltered Hideo Kojima, which is not good. Back in the Metal Gear days, he had people holding him back somewhat. But with Death Stranding, it's entirely unfiltered Kojima, and unfiltered Kojima is pretentious, and the even funnier part is, even though he's pretentious as hell with his writing, he doesn't actually have anything interesting to say. All the interesting ideas he had, he already used back in the early 2000s or so. So these days it's just... ugh. It's so on the nose, it's painful. That's because my favorite show, Fallout, of course. Oh, don't even get me started. Of course, remember, Fallout has become, hey, did you know capitalism bad? Oh goody, maggots. Wonderful. Because I really needed to feel even more like I'm just the glorified exterminator. I am pest control. They do quite a bit of damage for vermin, though. Mysterious door. Okay. Scarabeus the Desert King. Okay. Well... I guess we're doing this. Of course he has an attack that super slows me down. Why wouldn't he? Oh, for God's sakes. Enough with the slowdown attacks, game. Good lord. I mean, that's the one trick this game has, basically. It just hits you with the slowdown, and then... That's all it's got. It slows you down so you do less damage against its massive damage sponge enemies. At least I have this weird strike thing. Look at all that health just going away. Isn't it great? There we go. All that for a rigid carapace. I got an achievement for that. It's Cleanse the Library, and the title of the achievement is Found a Bug. Wow. Just riveting game. Such an achievement. A majestic chest, which gives me a bunch of gold and a bunch of items that are useless to me. By the way, these are in fact items called hungamungas. What is a hungamunga? It's this thing, apparently. It's a throwing weapon of some description. It does things, and it's not really as good as the one I've got, which is a small torch. And I can't even use most of this loot here because it's pretty much useless to me. You know, that's actually a better shield than I'm currently using. I'll go ahead and equip it. A durable coil of the glade, which I can't use because it's an intelligence item, of course. Fun is not allowed here, of course. A scroll of invocation, which is a quest item. And let's see, hit the wrong buttons. I have to bring the scroll to the Temple of Ptah. Okay. Let's see here. You thought the Fallout show was fine, it doesn't live... it goes well beyond simply not living up to the games. If you apply even the slightest bit of critical thought to the Fallout TV show, then it not only completely falls apart, it just becomes so awful that your brain can't see anything else. You only see the bad, because there is actually nothing truly good in it. The closest thing it has to good is just a few references. You know, it's a really good thing I'm not playing Dragon's Dogma right now, because I would have my pawns just constantly shrieking about harpies. Just endlessly. And that just gets really tiresome really quickly. Magma beetles. Okay. I was about to say there's a distinct lack of magma present, but then it actually spat fire at me, so there's that. Look at all these items that are useless to me. Yay! Feels so soulless. You think it's more fun to click around Street View? Yeah, I can see that. It's only that media in recent times is pretentiously serious. It was pretentiously serious about total nonsense. That is true. It really is. It's either pretentiously serious about complete nonsense, or it is overwhelmingly political. To the point where it's mind-numbingly annoying. course, what passes for politics these days is so incredibly stupid that, well, let's not go there, actually. It's like the entire thing about Stellar Blade, for example, was that you had a section, the gaming journalists complaining and whining about how it's too sexy, and then they go around and complain about, and then they go and say, you know, Hades 2 has incredibly sexy character designs. Like, really? This is how you're gonna... Okay, whatever. Alright, we've leveled up, finally. Let's put some points into, I don't know, strength and more strength. Why not? And then, let's see here. We have unused skill points. I'm going to just put them all into standard Dream Mastery. You didn't mind that it didn't align with Fall Universe very well. If it were a show in isolation set anywhere else in the Fallout universe, I probably wouldn't have cared. Like, I really wouldn't have cared, but they had to go and set it in the realm inhabited by classic Fallout and just completely destroyed classic Fallout, so, you know. And it also wouldn't be such a problem if it weren't considered canon, but of course it is considered canon because Bethesda's idea of canon is completely stupid and nonsensical. Yet more glorified exterminator things. Okay, I don't know what's going on with these characters blurring out on me here, but it's a thing that's happening. Okay, that is a lot of damage. That's a level 30 enemy. That enemy is over 10 levels higher than me. What is the balancing in this game? I have no idea what the balancing is in this game, because it makes no frickin' sense. Oh, and of course he has attacks that slow me. Why wouldn't he? Every enemy in this game, that's just what this game does. Is every powerful enemy that you fight has attacks that slow you down. Because that's the only way they can make the game even slightly challenging. And it's not even challenging, it's just tedious. Just here, have an enemy that does gigantic amounts of damage, is a massive health sponge, and is generally obnoxious to fight. Alright, now I'm down to just the big guy. I don't know why he's walking away, but whatever. There we go. Was that worth it? Of course not. But number go up, therefore good. Let's see here. None of the items are particularly useful, because of course they aren't. Well, go back to town and sell my junk. You're really hopeful for Fallout London? I'm not entirely sure why you'd be super hopeful for it, because it is, after all, Fallout 4, but set in London. So, I mean, mechanically, it's still going to be garbage. And it's still hamstrung by all the bad design decisions that plague Fallout 4. Okay, let's see here. I mean, these are decent items, but they're not really useful to me right now. Get back up to 300 health potions. Sure, we'll get back up to 300 energy potions, too. Why not? Potion chugging simulator.
Do you need something?
Let's see. Don't have any hag skin. Definitely don't have any of that. Do I have any of the rigid carapace? I do, in fact, have some of the rigid carapace.
Yes, yes. Come again. I have some space. That's it. We're out of space.
New Vegas was mechanically super similar to 3, but way better game due to role-playing. That is true. But it also wasn't really hamstrung by the gameplay of Fallout 3 anywhere near as much as Fallout 4 would hamstring Fallout London. Because you gotta remember, Fallout London is based on Fallout 4, which is a mindless first-person shooter, where you have 4 dialogue options unless you mod the hell out of the game. I haven't really been keeping up with Fallout London, so I'm not entirely sure if they have fixed that problem, but that is one of the big things they would need to overcome. They would basically have to completely redesign the entirety of the mechanical systems to support role-playing, and I'm not sure they can even do that. If they can, great. If not, well, oh well. Anything decent in this chest? I'm just going to ignore these enemies as best I can because they're annoying, honestly. They're not fun to fight. They take forever to take down, and they don't give me enough experience to really justify it. Go fill in the map over here. Of course there's vultures.
There's something out there. Something big that prowls at night. Whatever it is, the thing prowls at
So obviously, if it's in the desert and it's big and it prowls at night and it eats things like camels, what could it be? I'm pretty inclined to think it's probably that we have just suddenly stumbled onto Arrakis. In which case, the spice must flow. Also, in all seriousness, I can't remember what the big nasty beastie is. It has been too long since I played this game, so I can't remember everything. So much of this game is... So much of remembering this game is just a blur. It's weird. Is this better? Nope. Is it better than that? Not really. You tried getting into Fallout 1 but had a pretty rough time. It's probably not for you. You never know. Depends on what you're having trouble with. It may just be that your character build's a bit rough. Because I'll be fair, it's not exactly the kind of game I would recommend to newcomers to the RPG genre or anything. So if you're not well experienced with old school RPGs, then it may not necessarily be a game you want to go after until you have more experience with old school RPGs. Because it is one of the more accessible ones, but it's still an old school RPG, so. It hasn't aged well. It's aged better than a lot of other games of that era, let's put it that way. I mean, have you tried to go back and play Darklands? Darklands is barely playable these days. And it's almost entirely because the text is barely legible. It's so heavily pixelated. And it's that, the old English font or whatever it is. So you basically can't read it. It's obnoxious. Compared to something like that, Fallout is... It's aged very well. The gameplay kind of broke it for you. How so? Fallout 3 board used 3D and AAA, but facial expressions are ass. I mean, that's a lot of games of that era. Just the Xbox 360, PS3 generation. It's just kind of a problem for that area in general. Welcome, Valera. You fell asleep a bunch of times playing Skyrim. I can't blame you. The character movement? Oh, did you have a problem where you were just walking everywhere? Is that what the problem was? You just walk everywhere and it's really slow? Okay, yeah. You can actually... I'd have to double check to make sure the hotkey for it. But there is actually a... You can... I think it's like shift click or something like that to run instead of just walking. And I think there's a setting in the options where you can set it to always run or something like that. Oh, we're finally running into Hopesh. Here, have to adjust the lens again. This is driving me nuts. It keeps getting shifted around on me. Okay. See, 300 mods or so. Fallout 3 in New Vegas. Tale of Two Wastelands is pretty great. I mean... Fallout New Vegas is pretty great anyway. It really doesn't need much done to it to actually be much more comfortable to play. Fallout 3, on the other hand, pretty much needs a ground-up redesign. But you know what? It's better than the load orders I've seen for Fallout 4 before it becomes even kind of tolerable, which is you get around 600 plus mods, which at that point you're dealing with crashes every few minutes, basically, because the engine's held together with toothpicks and chewing gum. Which is also why people were so pissed off when... Bethesda updated the game and broke all the mods. So, you know, there's that. Fallout 1, like 2, or Arcanum, or even Homeworld are games which are too similar to a book. You can't distract or turn everything off. Close it. I think I understand what you're trying to say there, but the wording is... It's a little confusing. Basically, they're games you have to devote your whole attention to. You have to just sit down, shut out everything else, and just immerse yourself in them. And to that, I would kind of agree. Although, to be fair, I've played enough of Arcanum, for example, that just focusing entirely on the game doesn't really matter to me anymore, because I've just played the game enough to where I generally know what's coming. So I don't really need to be fully immersed anymore. Unfortunately, it means that I'll never experience that kind of that full immersion feeling ever again, but that's just how it goes with multiple playthroughs, though. You missed 2 hours of the stream. That's fine. You missed us closing out ancient Greece, and now we're in ancient Egypt. And these guys are doing quite a bit of damage. Alright, and what is that? More hag skin. Do I have any of that in my inventory? I do, actually. Okay. Some games got enough to work with where if you know how to mod and they're passionate about game design, you can turn them into great games. That is true. I have seen, and I haven't really messed around much with the Stalker games since I did the reviews a long time ago. Or actually, it was the review of Shadow Chernobyl, and then the rest of them were MTOs. But from what I've seen with some of the more recent mods, with regards to things like Stalker Anomaly and all of its various mods, that game actually has been turned into something kind of interesting. However, if you go back and you just try to play the games themselves, they're awful, honestly. And of course, I am of the mindset that it doesn't really matter whether a bad game can be turned into an actually decent one with mods. At least as far as a critical assessment goes. Now, I might still say something along the lines of, even if it's a really bad game, if mods do save it, I will say something like that. But that's not going to affect my review score or anything. A Hoppish of Endowment. It's a shame it's not actually better than the weapon I currently have. I mean, sure, it does a bit more damage, but the damage over time effect I get from this enemy's leg, basically, is just way more useful at the moment. Let's see here. Some more gold. A couple of rings. Let's see here. Yeah, the game's got to be at least decent. Let's see. Thief's probably the most immersive game for you. You get lost in the world. I mean, yeah, that's kind of its whole thing. The main issues I run into with the likes of the Thief games is just that they're old enough to where the mechanics are, they definitely feel old now. things like the movement and the interface and the general controls and things like that. I find that tends to be more frustrating to me with older games these days than anything else. Is just if they don't feel smooth in terms of just general controls and responsiveness and things like that, then that tends to bother me the most, going back to older games now. You just got here too. Yeah. Welcome, Mitchell. English is not your native. Yeah. I think we'd established that before. It's been a while, though. First playthrough where you just explore the game. Yep. Yeah, in that case, yeah. Fallout 1 and 2, Arcanum, games like that, they really do demand your full attention on your first playthrough. More hag skin. Welcome back, Retro Gamer. Let's see what we got. Shrine of Thorns and Shrine of Mastery. Okay, this guy does quite a lot of damage. He has warfare specialization, and he's about to kill me. And I just need to run away for who knows how long, so I can replenish my health. However, he doesn't have very good defense, so there is that. Use my Shadow Strike ability thingy. There we go. Bracers of Atlas. Let's see here. "21 strength, 20 dexterity, and 95 health. Grants skill Stone Form." That's interesting. It's also a lot of armor. Let's see, what is Stone Form? What does this do? 100% damage absorption. Wow, okay. That's actually quite useful. We finally have some pretty solid items there. Alright, let's see. Is there anything else? I mean, I can get these potions. Let's open up this. Grab that ring. Grab those and go back and sell our junk. Wondering if Stalker 2 will be any good after all the delays. Who knows? I mean, I'm certainly not optimistic, let me put it that way.
Bye.
Please, please, have a look. Come.
Let's see here. Still not really any better armor, which doesn't surprise me. You never find better armor in the shops with this game. Let's see, we can improve our hag skin. Let's see, do we have any more lupine claws? I don't think we do. No, we don't. Just stick that back in there.
So long. What? Do you need something?
Yes, yes. Come again.
Future of gaming is in modding, though. Old games become easy to get into. Game engines, which... Oh. I mean, I could see that. Kind of. But that's more where the indie space comes in. Just indie development in general. You find some dedicated, passionate developers. And they'll find an engine that works, and there's plenty of engines available these days. I mean, the big one going around the indie space right now is Godot. And you can do all kinds of crazy things with these custom engines, and my glasses are driving me crazy, and I'm going to have to fix these here. Or at least try to fix them. The temporary patch solution I have right now is just not cooperating, so I'm going to have to call it a stream here relatively soon so I can go fix these stupid things. Or at least patch them up to the point where I can actually kind of function with them. Do what you want with them if you know how to program and design, yeah. I mean, you have to know how to do that if you're going to be doing modding as well. Now you play a lot of games, or a lot of old games, they're old, so there's nothing you can do with them. Yeah. It depends on the game. I mean, if the game's had any kind of source code release, then there's plenty you can do with them. I was pretty happy to see the source code of Descent 3 getting released pretty recently. I'm not sure if the... I know there's a source port that's being worked on. I'm not sure if it's in a truly playable state or not, but I know it's being worked on, and that's a big boon for that game, considering that it was a Windows 95-98 game that doesn't play nicely with modern systems. So a source port is exactly the kind of thing it needs. Start with Warhammer Dark Omen. Good luck with that. Ow. Alright, we can come up on a camp area here.
It's been hard the reptilians. That is what we call them. It is too much for us. Have you heard? A fierce breed of monster. I won't even venture down.
Okay. Let's see here. I don't think there's any merchants in this area. I'm not 100% sure. Okay. A grim pelum of fire, okay. It's very slow, though. We don't like that. That's a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage. Holy crap. Oh, no wonder it's so much damage. They're attacking it about a gazillion times a second.
You have no more room. You can't hold anymore. You can't hold anymore.
About that.
You can't hold anymore.
Let's see here. Alright, throw down the town portal, head back to Rakotis, and sell my junk. Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 have enhanced editions, which are not bad. Icewind Dale has an enhanced edition, but 2... Yeah, 2 is the only one that doesn't have an official enhanced edition. And that's because of the source code, as you mentioned.
Thanks.
You use something purely from passion without expecting anything out of it. Things seem to fare better. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's perfectly reasonable to expect things like, if you make a game, and you want people to buy it. I don't think it's unreasonable to want people to buy your game. But, yeah, you can tell when someone's making something out of passion rather than just because they want to make some money off of it. See, who do I need to turn this into? Probably you.
You are the one with no
Yep.
limits.
I got spectral matter. What is spectral matter? It's a monster charm. Oh joy. So useful. Corpos want the next Fortnite, Warzone, Helldivers. Developers cannot be creative in an environment like this. I mean, yeah. Obviously, it depends on what you're talking about as far as what developers are expected to achieve. But
What brings a foreigner such as you to this place along the Nile? Might that thing be stored here?
let's see here.
Good then.
Nothing especially useful, but there is, however, a Lower Nile portal over here. And actually, I think this is about a good place to go ahead and call it a stream, because, like I said, I need to go fix my glasses. They are driving me insane. So, I'm going to go ahead and go do that. And I also need to get a few other things done. So, I'm going to go ahead and get that moving along here. I'd like to thank you all very much for tuning in. And it's a good thing we're now out of ancient Greece and now on to the second area. And in fact, we whoops, did not mean to do that. But now we are in the second area of ancient Egypt. So we are now moving on through the next section of the game, and we're making some decent progress here. So hopefully I will be able to go through more of this game on stream here and eventually get that review done. So we'll see how that goes. That said, I will of course schedule the next stream when I can, and it'll be available on the channel in advance or when you be able to see when that's going on. And hopefully everything will be going smoothly. So thank you all very much for tuning in. Thanks for watching, and I will see you